Alright. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to iCast, your freaking awesome replays. And we have a banger for you here. Aeon Blue, my sorter of replays, has said, Pig, you're going to enjoy this one. This is completely, unironically, the best replays I've gotten in maybe a year or more for this show. And I was like, really? All right, let's go in and let's see if they live up to the hype. Obviously, I never know what I'm gonna get. You can get GM players. I remember we've cast Harston versus Lambo in this show once. Sometimes it's Bronze League players who barely know how to click the buttons. Often it's somewhere in the middle. But we've got Urban Zorro down here in the bottom right side. In the top left, we've got Cameron. Now, the way the show works, for those who don't know, we put out a monthly challenge. So this challenge we're casting here is budget battles. So whoever sent these replays in, obviously we won't know. Most of them are ladder games. Usually it's one player sent it in. The other one thinks they're just playing a normal ladder game. They're going to have to be playing with no more than 40 workers max. So the whole thing was trying to get people to do early kind of, not necessarily rush strategies, but definitely more aggressive, low economy strategies, things that get the action going early and keep it going, because there's no option of just taking 4 or 5 bases and turtling up. Not when you're playing 40 workers at most, which for context is not even 2 full bases of mining. It's like 2 bases of minerals and only 2 gases essentially. Oh, Urban Zorro doing a worker stack, guys, using the refinery to stack those all inside of each other. Oh, okay, we are going to see, well, that's definitely going to be less than 40 workers once you throw these away. And you know what? It's going to go across the map with them. So that's 15 workers. There's a 16th one waiting in the middle that might join up with this. And the commander and the barracks are going to float across the map. Because he's like, well, I mean, if this doesn't work, it doesn't work. We might as well fly our buildings. There's no workers left at home to mine anyway. These 3 SCVs are like, Pig, am I a joke to you? The SCV actually sees the barracks and the command center floating out. Cameron must be so confused. Is going to try and build a bunker at the front of the base. Oh, the Marine's out in the open. Oh, no. Cameron, first Marine does get surrounded. That's a good start for Urban Zorro, who's also going to try and take out the barracks. This is actually really bad for Cameron that they went for a low ground wall off. This is one of the situations where it can get punished. A Marine's going to pop out, but there's no space to pop, so he pops out on the wrong side of the wall. The mule drops. Mules cannot fight, guys. The Marine gets ripped to shreds, and Urban Zorro gets right on up in there. Cameron needs to A-move with these SCVs, needs to fight, but you can tell Cameron's being a little bit indecisive. Has rallied this Marine to the backside, so the SCVs will cover it, but the Marine's a little bit far back, needs to get in there and actually help with the fight. Oh, the SCVs are on the backline, even repairing each other. Urban Zorro trying to do some fancy micro, but is getting overwhelmed with a Marine in the backline. You just can't take that fight, but it's 5 SCVs for 6 kills and 2 Marines. You could argue you won that trade. Wait, no! Oh my God! Why did I? Okay, I'm so shit. I saw the buildings floating. I was like, I guess if you don't, this doesn't work, it's game over, so you'll just float. But actually, can immediately pull back from the fight and start mining, because by the time the fighting is done, the command center has arrived at the front, lands it, the SCVs start mining. And Urban Zorro has 2 barracks pumping Marines for what I can only imagine is wave 2. Cameron is just like, I don't know what just happened, but that was pretty hilarious, dude. Throws out the laugh my ass off. I love that Cameron's taking this in stride. What was that? Cameron, you better watch out. I mean, with a full bunker, though, I don't know if it's going to be easy to make this work, and it's going to be really tough for Zorro. But what a genius. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do this. If you guys have ever seen anyone do this, where they worker rush with SCVs and then float the command center forward, let me know in the comments, because I've never seen anyone, even like Florencio, do something like that. If I have, I've forgotten it, and I apologize, Florencio, but it really seems like a very creative move a guy like Florencio would come up with. Hats off to Urban Zorro. It's such a ridiculous thing doing a worker rush, but in the case where it actually trades evenly, and then bam, you can actually pull back and do some mining. This is amazing. Zorro is going to float the barracks into the main base as well. He's going to try and hide that down there where Cameron doesn't have vision. And did Cameron scan, by the way? Cameron scans and is like, what? Sends a Marine out to the watchtower. He's looking around this right side. The last place you'd expect is for your opponent to be mining right outside your base. Oh no, the Marines go in a little bit in front. You want the SCVs to tank, but instead Cameron actually is manually focus firing, I believe. You can see the Marines were getting focused down. Yeah, keeps manually focus firing in the Marines. Great micro by Cameron there. But The Marines, they need to get back to safety. No, they get surrounded. The Marines needed to get behind the SCVs. And then I think Cameron could have won. Cameron has a lot more workers, but those 3 Marines in the back are such big damage dealers, and they could turn the tide. Cameron is wasting time attacking the SCVs. He needs to get on the Marines. He gets one of them. Can he get number 2? Oh, that Marine barely surviving. I can't believe it. Urban Zorro up here. And has landed the barracks in the main. Is also building Marines inside the main base. A Marine pops out and dies there. Oh, that barracks is burning as well. A Hellion comes out. Hellion's pretty good versus Marines and SCVs, but with so few SCVs supporting it, that's going to be an issue. The repair is pretty good, though. The SCV does go down. Another SCV pulls over to repair. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh no, it goes down. Cameron, with a Marine coming out of the barracks from the low ground, does pop out just before it goes down. One more Hellion will be popping momentarily. Urban Zero's on top of the production, though. The Hellion does come out, roasts one of these, and stops the time laugh my ass off. And Cameron takes it in stride. What a legend. Hats off to Cameron. You just dealt with something that most players would be like, oh my god, you're just stupid. But Cameron, the legend, takes that one. And Urban Zorro, that is a genius move. A 2-layered, 2-wave SCV pull attack with a forward-floating command center. What a way to start off the show. Thank you very much, mate. That was awesome. All right, well, that was a fun way to kick things off. Let's go into our second game here. We've got from Clan Zucked, which I imagine is being cucked, but by Zuckerberg. Very specific clan name. Must be a rather prestigious group of individuals playing the barcode here. We're going to call him Railroad. Railroad in the top left side of the map, the Terran player. Down here in the bottom right side, we've got from my clan. It's Wraith. How you doing, Wraith? Hey, that's me face. Isn't that nice? All right, so we've got a PVT. I can imagine Wraith maybe sent this in. Most likely. Usually when it's someone from my clan, usually they sent it in, but not always. And the gateway does go down there as well. Remember, guys, it's budget battles. You have to win with, or you can't go above 40 workers. So whichever player sent this in, they can't do that. And already that's a pretty early SCV. What are you up to, mate? Checking the watchtower. Interesting. Where are we queued to down here? Oh, is that a proxy factory? Might be planning to lift the factory into the main, run some Widow Mines or Hellions in from inside the base, which is a rather effective maneuver. Second gas is on the way there as well. Meanwhile, it looks like Wraith doing a pretty solid opening. 16 workers on minerals rallying onto gas. Doesn't have a scout though. Wraith playing blind, and I gotta tell you guys, when everyone's playing super standard meta, you can get away with it, but when your opponents are proxying in your face, you can get in trouble for this sort of thing. Wraith's gonna go straight Cybercore. Pretty tight opening actually, and we'll go down to take that Nexus. So it's a blind 1-gate expand, but a pretty safe version of doing it since the Cybercore's down so early. And that Nexus will go down as well. Yeah, solid build order for Wraith. This looks like pretty clean build orders so far. Zucked doesn't start the orbital though. Prioritizing the second depot and the factory proxy down here before finally queuing up a Marine. So you can tell Zucked is all about the urgency of this factory getting in and smashing stuff. It went down to the minute 29. That's a very early factory. That is insanely fast. But it means your follow-up's going to be much weaker with no orbital just yet. Marines building one at a time. The orbital command center and 150 minerals. So it looks like probably going to be starting soon. Unless wants to just save the money for the starport. Are we going starport here as well? Or second factory? Armory! Okay, all right. Zucked is bringing out a dirty cheese, guys. Looks like we're going to see the one base invisible mine drop out of the proxy. That's going to be hard for Wraith to deal with if Wraith doesn't have detection. Now, Wraith has an adapt out, getting a second or third pylon here, chronoing out the Stalker, and should be probing up that natural expansion. It is indeed a starport going down at the proxy as well. Oh my god. This is a dirty, dirty build, and I'm starting to think it might be Railroad, who actually is the one who's actually sent this game in. We'll see. Twilight Council does go down there behind the base, and another Stalker on the way. I mean, Wraith's building a good number of units, but no scouting at all. This is a ridiculous build order for Wraith. To just have no scouting, I mean, like, it seems like an okay build, but oh man, people not scouting always makes me so uncomfortable. I feel like you're going to have such weird ladder games if you guys don't scout. The ladder is a place filled with hyenas, man. There are hyenas and lions and bears out. There's crazy straight up predators, but there's also vultures and just weird people doing strange things. And I feel like Wraith's at a big surprise because there's a Thor and a medevac on the way. Not even bothering with the invisible Widow Mines. The armory was just to unlock the Thor production. And SCVs are going to come to repair as well. Going to pull 2 Marines across the map. A bunch of SCVs to repair. The Robo is starting on the natural for Wraith. I always prefer the Robo in the main. I feel like the Robo on the natural is very exposed. In this case, it shouldn't really matter because it's just going to be a Thor dropping straight into your main base. 2 gateways and a robo is decent production, but there's no shield battery or anything like that. A 3rd gateway goes down. Warp gate is finished, thankfully, so units can be warped in as an emergency. But with only 2 Stalkers, 1 Adept, and no Scouting, this is going to come in as a big surprise. 2 Marines running the front door. The Thor's going to drop, and that's a huge move. The SCV's got left behind, though, and the starport is floating in here for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Zucht is doing some crazy, weird stuff right now, but that Thor is absolutely causing mayhem and warping Stalkers right in range of the Thor. Oh, no, Wraith. Pooping the bed a little bit there. The probes will pull and kill those Marines. An Immortal is being chrono boosted, and an Immortal is basically the best unit you need here. The probe's actually going to do some pretty decent damage versus the Thor, funnily enough. It's doing massive overkill each time it kills one of those. And the Thor's going to get chased out by a bunch of probes and pulled back. The SCVs at the repair station. I feel like the Railroad here played a bunch of games against the Shield Battery Void Ray proxy, where the Protoss would build batteries there about a year ago. And it's like, hey, this is my version. I just bring SCVs outside your base, and I just keep microing my Thors back and healing them. How do you like that, you silly Protoss player? You guys did this to us for a year. You cheesed us with your stupid Void Ray Shield Battery cheese, and now it's my chance for revenge. But, ooh, Thor gets pushed back by that Immortal. Does pull back to the repair station. Is going to unload it. The SCVs are going to repair it. Wait. The other one's back on full life. Do we send the other one back in? The problem here is the medevac's very low, so it's only going to take like 3 or 4 Stalker shots to kill it. But, oh, tanks are coming in as the next step. Dude, Railroad's got a nasty strategy. And there's no Immortals being built right now. Wraith took so much economic damage. He's trying to build Pylon, Battery. Only has 3 Stalkers and an Immortal out. A new Immortal does start up there. Siege tank starting to shell on that, though. This is a bad position for Wraith to be fighting. Oh, no. Gotta click on the medevac. You gotta click on the medevac. It gets out. 1 shot from death. Oh, man. Railroad continuing to repair these Thors up. The starport being used as a spotting unit. This is a nasty build. And finally, an orbital did get made, but no mules dropping at home. There is very little economy behind this. This is an all-in attack, but attacking around a corner like this, not going to be that effective. Wraith does blink on the tanks, gets one of them. 1 Thor goes down as well. Siege tank on the back is going to beat the Stalker. The Thor with the repair, can it hold on? The Immortals, not quite enough damage to get through that much repair. And that looks like it could be game, because now, holding this position with another tank about to pop out, if you get rid of the Robo, there's no more Immortal production, and Immortals are what you need to beat these units. Warping in more Zealots and Stalkers on the high ground. Wraith is in huge trouble. Wraith has 4 gates and Blink, I guess, can make Stalkers and make something happen, but it feels like players usually make more and more mistakes when they get in this sort of oppressive position. More tanks are coming in. The Siege tank going to be sieging in range of the ramp there. That medevac's still so low. Ah, finally, the SCVs decide, hey, guess what? We can actually repair up as well. They do stick their drills up in the air and magically repair that medevac while it's in flight. What can I say, guys? If mid-air refueling is possible in 2023, and has been since, like, I don't know, the 80s, then I think they can do from ground to air laser repairs in the future, okay? In the Caprulu sector, I think they can figure it out. The tanks are going to move in, and this is starting to feel like you're just trapped in here as Wraith. Those slow Zealots will tank a lot of siege tank damage, but they don't have charge, and so they can't really close the distance. I actually think charge would be amazing for getting on top of these tanks. Ooh, getting damage on the starport could be good, but Wraith cannot get down that ramp without getting hammered. Ooh, okay, Wraith's getting some sneaky ideas right here. He's going to blink those Stalkers to the north side, try and get across. And oh, catching a siege tank would be great. Wraith does get the siege tank. Great response there. And could actually just try and get rid of this proxy entirely. 3 tanks and a Thor there. Zucht, a Railroad, is just going to float that into the main base and try to march on in. 3 tanks, a Thor, and a pack of SCVs. Can he win the game with this? Because he doesn't have any other production. Oh, the Thor drops up the top. I think he needs to move those tanks forward. He doesn't want to expose them to getting shot, but oh no, Wraith! Not like that. The tanks are just destroying those Zealots. They were way too clumped up, but the Stalkers do take out that factory. These Stalkers pull back. The factory goes down. The starport is very low. Wraith looks like might go for a counter attack, but does take a few tank shots there. The Thor once again baiting the Zealots into that. And these Stalkers are in trouble. Wraith warping in a lot of Stalkers. Technically, with the right fight, you might be able to find it. Oh no, the Thor, get out of there! Get out of there! Plenty of repair money in the bank. Still picking it up and dropping it a lot. I think those SCVs just need to repair that Thor. Stalkers going across the map. Remember, there is nothing at defense. I don't think our Terran player has looked at home in the last 5 minutes. I honestly think once the SCV's pulled, the Terran has not looked at home. The Orbital's on max energy, is not building extra production or anything, and now the Stalkers are here. They're going to force that economy to be toast. The tanks have to now push in here. I still don't know if there's enough Zealots and Stalkers to ever close the distance, though. That tank fire is brutal without charge on the way. I just don't think he can do it. The tanks and the Thor starting to move forward there. The Stalkers trying to pick off these SCVs to do exactly what they can. And that is a big, big issue. The barracks is going to float across the map. I mean, there's already a starport there. 4 mules drop. He says, well, my orbital's going to die. I might as well use these mules, I guess, to repair. Tanks are moving forward. Oh, that tank's very exposed, though. Wraith's going to pounce on it. Great catch for Wraith, but needs to get out of there. It does lose a couple of hit points, and one Stalker, one Zealot goes down as well. Looks like it maybe took an SCV with it with the splash damage. Stalker's going to take out the Orbital on the other side as well. Oh, a DT Shrine! Wraith with a genius idea. If Railroad doesn't get in there quickly, Railroad will lose to Dark Templar because there's no detection. I really thought this was working so well, especially after the first Thor. I mean, this Thor has 20 kills that are all Protoss units. The first Thor did so much damage, but I think Railroad's been a little bit too cautious with it and not having anything at home to defend the counterattack. Oh, you got to get in there. That DT Shrine's only about 30 seconds out. If he can just depower the gateways, he wins the game. But he doesn't know this. The problem is the starport has been getting shot by the Stalkers, so he hasn't floated it in as far. The tanks are now moving forward. The Cybercore and these pylons going down could be it. I think that pylon, though, might barely be powering this gateway, but I think it's actually one space out of range. If this pylon goes down, Wraith is trying to build more pylons right now to make sure not supply blocked, but those pylons need to be here to power the gateways. Oh, no. We're going to find out. Does that gateway still get powered? Is it still powered? Oh, it is. It's just in range. It's just in range of that pylon, which means the DT can warp in. If you don't get in there and focus that pylon down, you're going to lose the game. The Stalkers come in from behind for the distraction, and they do a very good distraction. The tank with 11 kills, 12 kills, the Thor with a bunch of kills, but the DT comes in. There is no detection. The only way you could kill this is friendly fire with the tanks. The Thor drops. The Stalkers take out the medevac. The DT is going to take out everything, and that is going to leave him with no options. Well played to both players, but dude, very good hold here by Wraith in a very cheesy situation. Both players going balls to the wall, but at the end of the day, no detection equals no win. GG. And Railroad taps out. Waits for the Thor to die, and then taps out. Does finally leave. Does finally leave. All right, there we go. GG. All right, guys, well, apparently we've saved the best for last. We'll see how that holds up. That's what I've been told. But our third and final game for today, apparently this is a good one. Up here in the top right, guys, we've got Kaity, the red Terran player. In the bottom left, we've got Cox Saki. For those who don't know, the Cox is located next to the Saki. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry, guys. I am as at all times a small child, a 12-year-old boy who just found out about you know, that he could look up naughty words in the dictionary and went, hey guys, look. On page 426 of the dictionary, there's a penis. And you're like, wow, that's crazy, man. Anyways, Koksaki's going gas first. I guess they're both going gas first. Maybe both gas first expands. That's a pretty solid build in TVT. And pretty tight build orders as well, actually. Wow, what? I was about to say, let's check the APM and see roughly what league this is. But that does not tell us a lot. Blue is at under 100 APM. Red is at 300 APM. I mean, I guess split the difference. Say it's like 170 APM. This is like Diamond 1, probably. I don't know. We're going to have to see by how they play. Because the red player is spamming, furiously slapping that keyboard. And blue is just lazy, methodically doing things one at a time. Now, speed does not necessarily translate to skill. It's what you do with that speed, what you actually execute, what you click on that makes all of the difference. And here on altitude, this is a giant map. So you'd think speed and multitasking will be big, but I feel like in TVT, often the player who can stay patient and focused is actually going to be more effective. Second depot goes down, barracks and factory on the way. Do we have a second gas building? Not for Kaity, but for Koksaki we do. So Koksaki went gas first into second gas. A very gas-heavy opening. And reactor first. This is wildly greedy. No scout for either players. If the opponent goes proxy Reaper here, Koksaki is so far beyond dead. It is insane. Because not only is it reactor first, it's a delayed barracks because you went gas before barracks. and then you're still going reactor first. Like, dude, these Reapers are never going to hit the field. That's wild. Luckily for him, Katie is just playing back from here, and he's actually waiting for the factory SCV to build the command center. Guys, if you have 315 APM and you're building your command center 15 seconds, 20 seconds after you have the resources, because that's not the cleanest. Factory is very quick here for Katie, but with a gas first, normally you want to go command center before factory. So a very weird build order for Katie. I feel like Katie's definitely the spammer, but Koksaki's build order is actually a little bit more focused. Yes, there's no expansion, but that's because they're leaving on gas. Koksaki is clearly doing a one-base marine tank medevac or Viking push of some sort, whereas Katie's going for marines and cyclones and now taking a second gas and a depot. But I'm not really sure what the goal is with Katie's in terms of, it looks a little bit more standard, right? Getting cyclones early for control. But we'll see, because there's no starport. And indeed it is. Marine tank Viking on the way. Not bothering to swap the starport onto the reactor. Just saying marines, tanks, and building one Viking at a time will do me for now. Koksaki's expansion will be much, much later. If it ever even goes down, this could be an all-in on one base. And is a bit shy of the money for that. Tank is going to move out with a bunch of marines. Koksaki going to get aggressive. But really needs to make sure they queue more tanks here. Is queuing a Liberator as a higher priority? That's interesting. Meanwhile, Katie's moving out. Cyclone could be very good at intercepting these units and dealing with them. Oh, they're going to run into each other. This tank might get picked off. This could get picked off. Oh, Katie's going to come down, but it looks like Katie... Oh, they both miss each other. Okay, they've both moved across the map, but in opposite directions. And it looks like both armies passing like ships in the night. 6 Marines and a Cyclone go down one side. 5 Marines, a tank, and a Viking go down the other side. Katie's rally runs into it. Oh my god, this game's a hot mess. Oh, the tank didn't pull far enough back. Katie gets a tank snipe. Massive win for Katie to start. At 300 APM, Baller is starting off with a very good situation in winning the trade, but not many units at home, and Katie's not building another tank, which is a big problem. Cyclone Marine moves on in here. Great moves for Katie. If Katie can get in that mineral line, Katie could absolutely do massive damage. Siege tank pops out, and the SCVs get pulled. Nice positioning by Koksaki. The tank's actually going to clean that up really well. A lot of SCVs go down, but Koksaki's also got these units on the other side. If that command center falls, that's big. You want to pull some SCVs to the high ground to repair that, Katie. Katie pulls the SCVs down, but from the wrong side, and okay, does save it. Looks like Katie does end up hanging on to that command center. Ooh, Liberator's gonna siege up. Watch out, watch out, watch out. 2 Marines are taking care of it, but only very slowly. The SCVs come forward. The Viking is gonna try and focus fire the Marines. Koksaki may be slow, but is sure as hell methodical. The Liberator takes out 7 SCVs. This is big damage. Koksaki's already up 3 workers right now and is getting even more of them. Katie, 300 APM and counting, but not using it particularly effective. And once again, speed is not the same as organized. Beautiful. 134 APM of beautiful actions for Koksaki. But Koksaki rallying across the map in a little bit of disarray right now. I would like Koksaki to pull back and regroup right now and get a command center started. Koksaki very slow to start that command center, only going down at 5 minutes, so wants to try and contain Katie from getting down the ramp. Katie's gonna move down though now. Cyclone Marine tank gonna clean up these Marines, see what they can do. There we go, that Marine there. We got 2 tanks and a few Marines moving down this side, but they're a bit split up. They're a little bit split up. They may kill the Cyclone, but they have to move up the ramp to get vision. Oh, Koksaki was in such a good position and throws away a few tanks for next to nothing. Big mistake from Koksaki, who's now on the defensive, gonna swap that factory, or sorry, the starport and the barracks around. Does have a command center on the way, and most importantly is way up in work, as Katie is down at just 13 versus 21. Katie needs to hold the SCV key down on both command centers and drop double mules, and is doing it. So to be fair, with 2 command centers pumping, I do think Katie can close the gap, especially if they use these units efficiently. If that Viking maybe lands in the mineral line, picks off some of these low hit point SCVs, that could be really effective. Starport is up in the back for K. Oh, the Viking flies in and dies. The Marines don't want to go into there. There is a siege tank there, Katie. That's not a position you want to go into, buddy. And Katie wisely is going to pull back here and siege. A little bit of a soft contain. Not a bad way to do it. Back up to just 5 workers difference now. Extra barracks are building for Koksaki, but Koksaki's orbital's just finished. So yeah, it feels like this is actually going to even out. The supply is pretty similar for both sides. But whoever gets the next big bit of economic damage will probably be pulling ahead. 3 barracks for Katie versus 3 barracks for Koksaki. A bit faster on the stim is K, our red Terran player, looking pretty solid there. The Vikings just kind of going, oh, what are you doing out there, buddy? What are you doing? Still 300 APM versus 150. So Koksaki's APM has gone up as the game is heated up and called for more actions from these players. But he's building a Liberator. It's going to use Viking Lib Tank to try and break out of this contain. Not that it's that urgent since they're both stuck on 2 bases. And you can see good STV production for Katie. As I say that, I think he's about to miss a few workers. Nope, cues him up right on time. Katie, pretty good on that worker production, guys. Very nicely done. Reactor goes down as well as double Tech Lab on the barracks. Koksaki wants to catch up on that stim and shields at the same time. But we'll need some more gases because he's building Libs, Vikings, and tanks. Now building a Widow Mine. Koksaki's very low on resources. Oh, Katie's going to come in. Koksaki doesn't keep track of the army there. Katie being very sneaky. And he's going to try and lift these units into the main. Ooh, this is a very clever move. Koksaki doesn't see them. They siege up. Oh, but they move into vision before sieging. That's okay. 8 Marines coming in right behind it. This is going to be hard to deal with. The Liberator coming back could be a big move, though. Koksaki gets an immediate siege up on top of those siege tanks. And the Vikings take out the medevac. Wow. Dude, Koksaki just sack-whacks Katie's push and says, no, 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 you naughty lad. The Viking Lib dealt with that so well. Katie getting a little bit ahead of themselves and freezing up on the production behind this. Katie definitely a bit more of the tunnel vision of the 2 players, whereas you can see upgrades getting started, SCVs getting built in the midst of this. Koksaki actually has much better multitasking than the player with double the APM. Isn't that fascinating? Whereas only once all the units die does Katie queue up all the upgrades and units at home. Fascinating to see. You always think the player who clicks faster when you're a new player would be better at things if they're just do. But it's all about being organized and keeping a more holistic view of all the different areas of the game rather than just tunnel visioning on one thing. And Koksaki is just saying, hey, this player's hyper aggressive. I've just got to defend and focus on my macro. And look at this beautiful tank spread. Units all hanging out on the defense. But only a 5 worker lead. And Katie going for double engineering bay will be pulling ahead in those upgrades in a moment. Doesn't have the gases on the natural yet, whereas those are already mining for Koksaki. So Koksaki no longer is starved for those resources and going for the 4th and 5th barracks. But if you forget the eBay upgrades, that definitely can hurt you in the long run. Katie, incapable of keeping it in their pants. Let's see if Katie can keep up the macro this time around. Queues up 5 barracks as well, but hasn't started the upgrades, the gases, or a 3rd base. Feels like Katie is desperate to do damage. Sees the army moving out. Oh, and Katie's already in a forward position. Katie could capitalize. Are we once again going to see the armies passing each other? You're kidding me. Just like before, the armies are going to pass each other, and Katie's already sieged at home. If Katie can keep pumping Marines and tanks at home, defend at home while running in, Katie's got stim finished. These Marines are going to do massive damage. Should move to that left side to stop the SCVs escaping, but it looks like it's going to go for more of a contain than anything else. Koksaki pulling back into the main base, but oh no, the command center. Katie, by being more aggressive on the map, I was criticizing the multitasking, but hey, getting forward on the map and using that scan pays off big. Meanwhile, Koksaki's looking for a push, but there's plenty of units to defend. I actually think Katie, with the siege up in the defensive position, should be fine. Koksaki's going to go for a ballsy move. I keep saying ballsy, Coxy, because of the name. Koksaki, what can I say? The Liberator's going to go in, but the Marines will easily deal with that. As long as Katie just stims, can focus those medevacs down. But Katie, oh no, Katie's in tank range, doesn't focus the medevacs or the Lib. I mean, the Marines are doing all right, and the tanks are shelling. Still a pretty good defensive position, I think, for K. But if those tanks get deep enough, they might be effective. Katie doesn't have any medevacs here, remember. Oh, and that Liberator could be a big problem. If you can focus the Lib, he'll be in a very good spot, but can he get in range of the Lib without getting shot by the tank? One Marine is shooting that Liberator. It looks like the Lib does go down. Great hold for K. K's going to bring these guys home and potentially flank this army. But K never started a 3rd base or anything like that. The upgrades never started for either players. Oh, the Marines get baited in. You got to hold position, K. Got to be careful with that. Another medevac coming across the wrap. Remember, Koksaki's only on 1 base right now. But Koksaki does have 20 extra army supply, whereas Katie's freezing up in that Marine production a little bit. These Marines could catch that medevac, but he's got it pre-spread. You can see Katie's getting ready to flank this army, but the Marines are still very spread. They need to be spread way more than that because they're going to clump here anyway. Yep, he's going to come from 2 sides, though, which can work out okay. Katie's going to come there from the right and the left side. And those Marines going to take out all of those. Pretty good break nonetheless. Picks up and goes for a drop. Now that's a silly move because those Marines are very heavily damaged. Despite that, it looks like something did get broken. Koksaki's coming with wave number 2. Wait, are we going to cross each other again? Are you kidding me? Is this the story of this map? Is just them crossing? I thought Katie was going to go for a drop. Katie changes the mind. Does decide to just chill. Starts building depots there. 3rd command center and a 5th barracks gets rebuilt. Or 6th barracks, in fact, actually. Not bad, but with no engineering bay upgrades, it's all about unit count right now. 2 tanks first one, and a 9 marine advantage for Koksaki. Koksaki also is down 1 medevac, but has a Widow Mine. Might be going for a drop, though, which could be effective. Katie is expecting a ground attack, is sieged out front, but with no spotters for the drops. Oh, Koksaki says in the rear with the gear. And let's go. The army is kind of moving back and forwards. Katie does not spot this going. Oh, that is devastating. The tanks are going to use the barracks to almost protect them as well. A giant drop inside the production of Katie. Katie's going to stim the army back here, but oh no, you don't want to attack into it like that. No, Kay. No, you're in tank range. You're in tank range. Oh no, Katie's stumbling back and forwards, taking that fire. And it looks like Koksaki may actually win the game with this. That is a brilliant move. I mean, Koksaki's been on one base for a while now, mining next to no resources. But Katie losing the production is huge because you can't rebuild if you lose your production. And this drop move may actually be a game winner. Oh, the Marines spot the Doom drop going across the map. They actually could have chased that down as the boost was almost out. Luckily for Katie, they don't. Katie's buildings, though, are being eliminated. There's no way, because right now with no units at home, that's going to be a big issue. Koksaki hasn't left anything at home, though. If he had a bunch of Marines on the edge, he could try to focus these medevacs down. Doesn't seem to be focusing on it. The Marines went out front, but not able to get the intercept. And Katie's going to get inside the main base and says, oh, sorry, main base? Whose main base? This is my main base now. D-Bag floats a command center off, so Katie can't be eliminated unless there's Vikings. Vikings are trying to be built by Koksaki, but if these Marines get on top of Saki's starport, then that's going to be huge, and it looks like Katie's going to do it. I don't think those Vikings are going to get out this game. If they do, they can hunt down the buildings. Otherwise, Katie can force a draw or even potentially a win. He's going after the command centers. Great move there. The SCVs should probably turn to fight, and indeed they do. The Marines gun them down, and they're going to go after these command centers, trying to get them before they float away. You got to click those command centers. These buildings are floating away over there. The tank in the main still shelling. 2 Vikings did get out for Saki. Saki got the 2 Vikings out, and that is massive. The command centers lured the Marines away, which is huge. That command center is burning, but Katie did not finish it off, which means a mule could drop to repair it. This command center trying to get to safety as well. Katie needing to stutter step underneath if he wants to confirm the kill, but his stim runs out and his Marines are stuck behind each other. Oh man, both command centers get away. Katie also drops a command center. No, you don't hide it in the dead space, dude. Katie losing all these. Koksaki says APM don't mean diddly squat, mate. Command center has to get rebuilt in the old main base there of Katie with that 1 SCV. Has 5 SCVs on this map, 4 of them there, 1 of them there, but that Widow Mine dangerously close to spotting it. Marines are on top of the production. Cox does have 1 command center down there. He's going to need to use that SCV to repair it before it burns down. Same with this guy. Those command centers are in trouble, but does have barracks floating in the corners as well. And with those 2 Vikings, he's going to be able to hunt down wherever those last buildings are. You can see, oh, they're queued over the command center. Oh, that's such a bummer for Katie. And in the unit stab, if it comes clash to clash, 1 less tank, 12 less Marines. There's no way you're winning a frontal fight. Katie has to play the elimination race, or even best bet is get a command center, lift it to the dead space, and kill the Vikings, and then try to force the draw. And if you can manage to stop your opponent mining, get all their command centers, for instance, you could do it. But because the command centers got away, Koksaki's repairing both of them. Katie doesn't know about that. That mule drop to repair, they're both no longer burning, and Koksaki goes back, secures the base. The base. I'm so excited. I developed a lisp. And oh man, you need to get rid of those Vikings. You got to get rid of them. Okay, Kay's gonna head over that direction. There's another command center building right next to it that Saki doesn't know about just yet. That command center is going to take a lot of damage, but if the Marines can stim underneath, snipe the Vikings, then he just needs to somehow lure Saki out of position and kill the last command centers. If he can do that, there is still the dream alive. Katie goes in, gets 1 Viking. Can we get the second one? Not quite. The Viking pulls back. Good micro for Saki. Katie picks up those Marines and pulls them over. But Cox is like, hey, dude, guess what? I can just win if I take out this command center. He thinks that's the last one. He doesn't realize it's not, in fact, the last one. The tank gets left behind on its own. Koksaki's going to find this base. The tank will do some good damage, but just stims right on top. The siege tank goes down, and that's way too many Marines. Remember, it's still a lot more Marines. Focus the command center. The Marines running away right now for Katie. He's going to try and pick up and get out of there, but loses so many of those Marines. 14 versus 22 now. And guess what? There's still a Viking alive. It spots that last command center, which means Cox can just go take care of that. That is the last SCV, the last building. That command center goes down, and this is game. Katie running away, but I think Katie will know as this SCV goes down, there's no way to rebuild. The command center can lift, but the Viking will always hunt it down wherever it goes. That was a crazy game. Ships passing in the night, armies going past each other and barely not running into each other at 2 or 3 moments in that game. Ends in a base trade in a very fitting manner. And I don't think anyone went over 40 workers from either side of any of these games. Even though these were all ladder games as far as I could tell, the games were so goddamn low economy and cheesy. I don't think anyone got above 40 workers. That was sick. GG, well played to Coxsackie and everyone else who sent in the replays. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you guys enjoy other weird strategies, fun games, and silliness, click on one of the other ones on screen. And we, of course, will see you in the next episode. Goodbye and good night. Thanks for watching, everybody. Laters.